Yes, Laura.
And I look at you. Hi, I'm Becky Layton, and I'm interviewing Lee Weikert, one of the parishioners at Our Savior Church. So let's begin.
Good morning, Becky.
Hi, Lee. So the first question is, what was your childhood experience with religion?
In my family, my parents were both considered themselves Christians, but we never really went to church. My father was raised in the Southern Baptist tradition. My mom was from Southern California, went to a much more liberal Methodist congregation, different approaches. We always did, the little kids did an annual Christmas pageant, and we always had popular Christmas songs, but we always included John 3:16,
Wow.
so that we touched all bases.
Yeah.
That was kind of our experience.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So you did not go to church services?
We did not regularly go to church services. My mother's theory was that all her children, all 7 of them, should make their own choices. So what she did when I was young would take me to different churches and drop me off for Sunday school.
Ah,
So I experienced
yeah.
other churches as I grew up.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That was a wide experience.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, that's great. So how did you come to the Episcopal Church?
I went to all these different churches. Of the 7 of us, we ended up with 1 Catholic, 1 Lutheran, 1 sometimes Presbyterian, sometimes Methodist, a couple of total non-believers, and 1 who's just kind of meh with church.
Yeah.
But when I was a teenager, the church with the most active program was Presbyterian Church in our little community. So all the teenagers went there.
Mm-hmm.
So I taught church for a couple of years, taught Sunday school in the Presbyterian Church. I had my little 6-year-olds, which were delightful. I went away to college, and I started going to the Unitarian Church.
Okay.
So all through college, I was a member of the Unitarian Church in Santa Barbara.
Oh.
My first husband was from Canada. He considers himself an Anglican, so when we went to church, we always went to the Episcopal Church.
Okay.
We were married in the Unitarian Church, but there was that Episcopal thread.
Oh, that's interesting.
When I met Tom, he was already well established in the Episcopal Church. The congregation was very welcoming of me. Tom and his first wife had been longtime members, and there was a really close relationship with her.
Mm.
But they just opened their arms, and over time, I became more and more involved, and was eventually baptized in the Episcopal Church
wow.
in Fairfield.
Oh, in Fairfield. I was going
In
to ask,
Fairfield,
where was
yes,
that?
in
Oh,
Fairfield,
okay.
which is Reverend
Nice.
Deborah's previous church to Our Savior.
Oh, wow. And so did you meet
No,
Rev Deb before?
no.
Okay.
She replaced the priest who married us.
Oh, okay. That's neat. That's a nice connection.
It is.
Yeah. So how many years was that you were in the Episcopal Church? That's a long time.
Since 98.
Wow, okay. Over 20?
No, excuse me. Since 88.
Over 20, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long time.
So since 88 was Tom, and before that was
Mhm.
my first husband.
Mhm.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's really neat.
long time.
Long time. So do you have any stories or passages from the Bible that have guided you in your life?
That was an interesting question, and for me, I think it's more an overall message, and it's to the guidance part is trust in the Lord. The Psalms have so many beautiful phrasings of that.
Yeah.
That if we trust in God, He will be there for us, and that God is guiding us. And
Mm.
I have a lot of confidence in that.
Mm.
That trust is absolute, and it's very comfortable to me. It really helps in a time like this to have that trust.
Mhm.
As a biblical story, I think the Good Samaritan story taking care of others has been big in my life. So I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest of those 7, so that caring comes naturally. And just to move that out from the family to the community.
Can you tell us a little more about some of the help you've given?
Well,
like in community or through the church?
Tom and I worked together on the pastoral partners program that we used to have here at Church of Our Savior. And that was a group of people who reached out to other people.
Okay.
So it was a way of expanding our reach. I've done projects here like the Christmas stockings for the homeless. We did that for a number of years, and I organized that kind of outreach. We worked for a while at the upper room, was feeding the homeless here. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That almost leads into the Viktor Frankl quote. Should I read the whole thing? Or Viktor Frankl was the Holocaust survivor who later became a psychiatrist, and he devoted his life to also helping others, but his area was in finding meaning in life. So he said that each person is irreplaceable and inimitable. The question a person should ask themselves each day, each hour, is not what can I expect, but what does life want from me? So as a Christian, the question is, what does God want from me at this time? How would you answer that?
I think that's a real tough one right now. For us, so much is changing. It's changing because we're aging. Tom had his 80th birthday just recently, and mine's coming up all too fast.
Oh, wow.
So there are a lot of issues with how our life is changing. And what can we do? What does God want us to do from here? Because it doesn't look like it's going to be the same as it was in our earlier years, or given the changes in our society at this point, the changes within my own family. The next 4 siblings after me all have serious medical issues.
Oh, wow.
The big kind of family gatherings we used to have don't look like they're in the cards anymore. That was reaching out to family and maintaining that closeness was part of that. So I'm asking that question a lot, and I really don't have an answer yet. We finished one bucket list. We haven't started another.
What was that bucket list?
That was seeing all the Major League Baseball teams play in their home stadium.
Wonderful that you did.
And that was seeing America, basically. Because we traveled everywhere. A lot of it was car trips. So that was a big deal. But now it's, what do we do from here on out? And how best to serve?
Yes.
Not sure.
Okay. Well, asking the question seems important. So you're there. And finally, Fred Rogers asked the question, who loved you into being?
Well, my family, I would say, my parents, who loved their kids tremendously. And even though they had 7, it was harder for them every time one of them left home, because it was a change. I remember the day I left home very clearly. And of course, Tom was a big part of my being in my Christian faith. Is supported with his thoughtfulness and studying and our worshiping together.
Yeah. Which you do regularly, don't you?
Yes, we do. I tell people, be careful what you take on for Lent, because many years ago we took on doing evening prayer as a Lenten discipline. 30 years later, we're still doing evening prayer together every night. So, yeah.
That's wonderful.
It's a very special time.
Yeah.
We don't read the forward day by day in the morning. We do it at night. So we
Mhm.
have those reflections
Mhm.
in addition to the other parts of evening prayer.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much
Well,
for sharing.
thank you for asking. Appreciate that.